What's up, everyone? Andrew Morris here with Highlight Property Group and Real Broker here in Austin, Texas. This is a new series that I'm starting where we'll uncover some of the data that other realtors are too scared to show you. Yes, we'll get into the good, the bad, and the ugly of Austin, Texas' infamous real estate market. I'm going to be taking a deep dive into data and distributing it every Tuesday on my newsletter and on my YouTube channel. Continue to watch because you don't want to miss this. Let's get into it. All right, so how we're going to do this, I want to make sure that I'm providing value and giving information that you can actually use if you're thinking about buying or selling in Austin, Texas. So around the second week of each month is when the MLS will release its stats for the prior month. So here on March 9th, we're looking at the fresh February data. This is about as fresh as you can get. And here we can see a median sale price of $400,000. That's down nearly 4% from last year. So not a great start to the year and pretty much on par with the last couple of years, as we can see down here. So what we're looking at here is 2026. You could see January's median price of $395 and a slight increase. So good news there. But if you look at the last 2 years, the red line being 2025 and the green line being 2024, you could see that a similar pattern also occurred, however, at an elevated price point. So each year we've gone down here, give or take about a couple percent. So it's going to be interesting to see where we end up if we kind of follow this same pattern. Last year we actually overtook the previous year's numbers in October, but then quickly declined. So it'll be interesting to see if we kind of take a pattern that stays lower or if we can actually outgrow some of these numbers. You can also see sales price going back to 2021. So you can tell here the peak was in 2022. The February price got all the way up to $490 that year. We're nearly $90K down from the peak, or around 20%. So definitely a decline. We're a declining market. This can't last forever. And at a certain point, Austin's going to become a buy. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is the interest rate. So when we look at the interest rate data currently, we're at a 30-year fixed rate of 6.14. So that will actually be an improvement when we run that over year. So that's kind of the saving grace here, is that we may not have the same interest rate that we had those previous years. So that's one way where we can get above these numbers, is if we take a look at the 5-year here. You could see last January we're about 7%, so about 1% higher. So we've come down quite a lot. In the previous January, we're also around 7%. So that's the one thing, even though the year hasn't started out this way. And you know, in Austin, we had quite the weather patterns in January this year. A couple freezes, a lot of rain. So don't be shocked if that number starts to tick up this spring, given that we get some good weather. Now, one thing I'm excited to share is a new stat platform, a data platform that I've been So I'm excited to share with you this platform. This is Reventure. I've got the premium membership here. It's taking Zillow data, so not necessarily the same as the MLS, but it's going to be very close, and it's going to give you an idea. What I like about this is that it's national, and we can look at metros across the country. Obviously, here in Texas, we can compare Austin with Houston, San Antonio, Dallas. You can see these massive metro areas that we are competing with. And we can really get granular with zip code data. So I'm gonna enjoy sharing some of my research with you, and we'll take some deep dives into Austin zip codes. We're not going to do this on today's video, but just kind of showing you what's to come. If you do have a zip code that you want me to take a look at, feel free to share it in the comments, and I'll do a deep dive video on that specific zip code. So I'm curious to know where you all are looking to buy, and taking a deep dive and understanding, is that market have low inventory or high? Is there a demand or not? Is the median price increasing, decreasing, stabilizing, etc.? So we're going to get into all that stuff as well. So here is just take more of an overview, and we're going to look at Austin as a whole. So when I pull up Austin's when I pull up the Austin report, and I'm going to change this to monthly data. Again, you can see here that this is of January, so not quite as recent yet. In the coming days, this should change over to February's data. But you can see a similar chart here. This actually goes back quite a ways. We're going back to 2000 here. So as you can see, look at the stabilization we had here in Austin from 2000 to 2012. Even in the downturn, the great financial crisis of 2008, we had a slight dip. We went from 200, get that, a 200K median price point, and we're complaining about 419, 411 over here. It's funny when you put things in perspective, but we had a slight dip. Lots of markets took 20, 30, 40% dips in 2008. Austin was strong. You can see in 2012, the price point really starts to elevate and then just goes parabolic during the pandemic 2020, 2022. Obviously, the work from home, the migration, the investor craze, all of these things just brought an unsustainable growth pattern that had nowhere to go but correct. So that's where we're at now. We're in the correction mode. How much further can we go? Time will tell. No one has a crystal ball. It does appear, and we'll take a look at why, that we may just be going a little bit further down until Austin becomes more of a buy. So historically, the best time to buy in Austin is September. That's when there's going to be less. That's when there's going to be less demand, less competition, and you're going to get sellers who are going to, and sellers who need to sell are going to sharpen their prices. And sellers who need to sell will lower their prices, giving buyers the best deal possible. The best time to sell is right now in March. Austin is a strong spring market, and I don't expect that trend to stop this year. So it's going to be an interesting couple of months here, and we'll definitely keep you informed of what's going on. So home price forecast. This is a pretty cool tool that is on Reventure, where it will forecast the next 12 months. So it's actually giving Austin another 6% decline the next 12 months. Again, we'll track this. We'll see if this is accurate, but that's where it has it. As far as long-term goes, it actually is giving it an above average score. That kind of agrees with my hypothesis that, we are going to near a bottom at a certain point, whether it's in 2026 or 2027. Reventure seems to think it's more 2027, but we will get to a bottom and rebound into a strong market with the local economy that we have here. The continued migration, even though it's nowhere near where it was, Austin's still a very desirable city, both within Texas and nationally, even internationally. So it's going to be very interesting to track and see where we correct on this chart. A couple other cool tools I want to check and continue to share with you all is inventory. And as this switches over, this is where it's going to show us available homes on the market. Obviously, the more homes on the market means the more supply we have. The more supply we have means the softer the price is going to be. The lower the inventory means that there's a high demand. Homes are selling because there's not a lot on the market, and prices can skyrocket in that environment. Look at 2021 and 2022. This is a monthly stat. So another thing to notice here is the up and down nature, the seasonality of this market. So in the spring, you see the inventory at the beginning of the year. In the spring, the inventory starts to climb, gets to a peak around summer, around the 4th of July, It gets super hot here in Austin, and then people stop listing their home, listings start selling, sellers may take it off the market and wait for next year, and we go up again. And that happens every single year. So look at that. Um, this line here is the historical average. So an average, we're getting about 7,000 homes that are on the market annually. So you could see look at last year, 2025, 13,000. So um, we're a little bit higher than we were last year. So don't be surprised if this number starts to tick up again, especially as that interest rate number continues to tick down to the sixes. If we can get this in the fives, we might see a lot of pent up demand and sellers that hit the market. So homes that have been waiting and buyers that have been on the fence could actually spurn some activity here that will actually make this maybe more of a balanced market, but we'll see. I'm going to leave you with that. That's a pretty good deep dive into where we are in 2026. So we're definitely increasing from the last couple of months, but that's normal seasonality. And what we're really looking for is how we respond in March compared to the last couple of years. And will that interest rate stay low? We know we have a lot of factors that are making things a little uncertain, whether it's geopolitical items in the Middle East, if it's the mortgage rate and the Fed decisions, will we lower the interest rate? Will they cut the rate or not? That's a big question. And then, of course, the job market, the economy. There's a lot of the stock market has been a very interesting and volatile situation the last couple of months. So there's a lot of factors at play here. We get into all of it. I'm excited to share it with you in the coming weeks. See you next time.